Hi everyone, I'm Paul Webb, Head of Learning Strategy and Customer Education here at Joblogic. Thanks for joining me today. If you're a service manager, planner or contracts lead, you already know how scheduling can test your patience. Jobs change, engineers call in, customers want updates, of course, and suddenly what looks like a tidy plan in the morning turns into organized chaos by lunch. It's one of the many reasons why we've built the Dynamic Scheduler. It's a superb tool for turning a lot of that chaos into clarity. And today, we'll walk through exactly how it works and why our customers say it's changed the way they plan their week. By the end of this session, you'll see how to optimize engineers' schedules for both planned and reactive work. You'll look at and understand cutting wasted travel and downtime. We'll talk about and look at staying compliant with SLAs and keep your engineers happier and less stressed. And we'll do that together. I'll jump between the camera and the screen so you can see the app actually in action. Let's start with the honest bit. Most service teams still rely on a mix of spreadsheets, emails, good old WhatsApp, and of course, good faith. You move one job and three others ripple out of place. You've got engineers zigzagging across the towns instead of following a logical route. Now, here's a sobering stat. The average field engineer can lose up to 1.5 hours a day in unnecessary travel. Just 8 hours of drive time a week adds up to nearly 400 hours a year, effectively a full working month lost per engineer. Dynamic Scheduler was built to claw that time back, but do it intelligently, automatically, and of course, importantly, within your control. So let's jump in and see how all this works. So to get started, guys, what you need to do is to go to your marketplace and look at your marketplace apps. Now, of course, some of you won't have this installed. So to do that, simply you'll go explore more, and then you'll search by Dynamic Scheduler. Once installed, it lives inside your main Joblogic menu. No separate login, no extra system to juggle. Now, your first stop with this is going to be the configuration. Think of this as setting the rules of the game, if you like. And here you define how the system should make the decisions for you. And of course, what matters most to you and your business. So if we look at the screen, I've got the Dynamic Scheduler app open now. The general settings you'll see are options that mirror how your team actually works day to day. So if we look at each option, I'll give you a brief explanation of each one. So override PPM job allocation. Now this allows the scheduler to replace existing PPM job allocations with new optimized ones. Now turning this on means current PPM engineer assignments and times may be removed or rebuilt automatically. Then we've got override reactive job allocations. Now this reassigns jobs automatically if the system finds a better fit. Simple as that. And of course, consider trade and skills. Match the right person to the right job first time to improve the first time fix rate. Then we've got KPIs or SLAs, depends on what you call them. And these ensure that your SLAs and KPIs are kept on track. Use preferred date. This lets the customer confirm preferences on date and time stay in your plan. And finally, custom durations. Now these apply realistic time values for PPM or reactive work, and the scheduler will stick to them. So if you have an hour minimum for PPM and 30 minutes minimum for reactive, it will honor those. Okay, so guys, these small toggles are what make the difference between a generic route and one that feels tailor-made for your business. Okay, let's move on. Next, we're going to look at priority settings. Now you can create up to 14 priority levels from emergency call-outs, as you can see on my screen. You can do repairs, you can do routine maintenance and sit them inside the job type you want, along with the additional options to kind of auto add job categories or even tags that a lot of people use in Joblogic. Now, priority 1 might be your urgent reactive work. Priority 10 could be a simple PPM visit that can flex by a day or two. Let me add one rather than just talking and showing you screens. So I'm just going to put a priority here. Like you can see, I can put my priority level, and let's use that maintenance one that I spoke about. So I'm going to choose priority level 10, and I'm going to call it maintenance, like so. And then it asks me for a required field, and it's my maintenance job type that it belongs to. So these job types, guys, are the ones that you've built inside your Joblogic system. Again, this isn't a separate app. This isn't a separate system. This is just embedded now within your Joblogic system itself. So it's reading everything that you've built and obviously you've set up inside Joblogic. So I'm going to choose maintenance. Now I can define a category, as I said, and I can use those lovely tags for reporting and searching later on. I'm going to keep this clean for this demonstration though, and just basically have maintenance and keep it as a level 10. Again, the system will say, okay, I can move that a day or two, whatever, because it isn't a high priority and there are more priorities stacked above it. So let's create that. And now you can see it nice and neatly inside my list. And what you're doing here, guys, is you're teaching the system your decision-making logic, okay? It's not replacing it. It's not AI deciding what you're doing. Well, it is, because you're conditioning it. You're teaching it how you work. And that's how you cut SLA breaches without micromanaging every single job. Okay, so guys, what we're going to look at now is engineer settings. Now, this is a bit of a favorite of mine. This is where you control who's included in the scheduling and how overtime is handled. So first, there's allow engineer overtime. This is, if this is set to yes, the scheduler can plan jobs that might run slightly beyond the normal shift, so to speak. So it's perfect for days when engineers can stay out a little longer to finish urgent work. Now, below that, you'll see two boxes. You've got departure overtime and travel overtime. Now, that departure overtime is how much extra time an engineer can start a job before the end of the shift, say 30 minutes in this case. Now, travel overtime is how long they can travel past their finish line. So again, I've set mine to 30 minutes. Now, what these do together is help the system build a more realistic route without overloading anyone. For example, if a fire security engineer shift ends at 5, the scheduler can still assign a short final job at say 4:30, allowing a half an hour drive home after. And finally, use selective engineers. Now, this lets you choose exactly who's included in the scheduling process. You might only want your fire team included today, or you might need to exclude someone on leave. Tick who you want, and the scheduler just adapts. So, for instance, on mine, I've got a list of my engineers down here at the bottom. I'm going to say, for this demonstration purpose, I'm going to tick on them all. Okay, it's quick. It's practical control that keeps scheduling fair, flexible, and of course realistic, which is the big thing about this. Once I'm happy, guys, I'm going to hit Save Settings for now. Let's talk about advanced settings for the power users amongst you, the people that like a little bit of data and a little bit more control. Now, this is where you can really fine-tune how the scheduler makes its decisions, effectively shaping how smart or how cautious it becomes when planning your routes. So if we look at my screen, you can see that I've got 5 options here. Now, these are how you control the system and how it behaves behind the scenes. So stop when no improvement. Now, this tells the system to stop optimizing once it's found the best result within a certain time. Now you see mine is set to 2 minutes. Now you can set that longer if you've got like a larger team and you want more detailed results. I've also got maximize optimization duration, which defines how long the system should spend searching for the best schedule overall. Again, a longer time can improve results for larger teams, but will take longer to process, obviously. That end of shift risk buffer prevents the system from starting complex jobs too close to the end of an engineer's shift, and it's great for avoiding those 5 p.m. fire alarm tests that nobody wants. Travel time adjustment. Now this one's really important. It multiplies the travel time between jobs. It's setting a higher value, makes longer journeys less appealing to the scheduler, helping cluster nearby jobs and reduce your mileage. And then we've got travel delay buffer. What this does is it adds a little extra time to every trip, accounting for things like parking or on-site preparation. Around 5 to 15 minutes is a good starting point. So once you've set all these guys, let's give you an example. If you're scheduling London engineers, you might bump up the travel delay buffer to 10 minutes and slightly increase the travel time adjustment. That tells the system to cluster work locally and expect some delays. Now that's a small change that leads to a far more realistic route, in my opinion, especially for busy urban areas, if you like. Now, these settings, guys, aren't just for the data enthusiast amongst you, the geeks. They're what bridge the gap between computer logic and real world working patterns. Right, guys. Once your configuration is ready and we've looked through those 4 tabs, then you can head to the route planning section in the top right hand corner here. Please remember to hit the save settings button before you click on this. So, route planning. Now, what you've got at the top is you've got your weekly or monthly filter, you've got your date filter here, and then you've got your weekly, because obviously I've set it to a weekly filter. It's offering me the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks in advance. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the 6th to the 12th, and then I simply hit generate the smart routes, and we'll let our little AI brain do its live calculation. Okay guys, so what you'll see is my route planner's now brought up my map, but you can see in the corner my optimization limit, which I set earlier in the configuration, that's still going. But that doesn't mean I can't still interact with the map now. It's ready, it's given me its first kind of draft, if you like, but it was still optimizing it. Now you can see that is now finished, and it's offering me to sync this with Joblogic's main job desk. So bear with me, and I'll come back to that in a second. So my filters at the top are remaining the same. And what I've got then is a couple of new filters where I can search a particular engineer or site, and I can look at a date range. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear that date range because it's defaulted today. And I just want to show you what my week looks like. Now, this is a very light demonstration system. What I didn't want was 50 jobs over it, and we were having to pick the bones out of one particular job and follow it round. I wanted to give you a nice little clear example, if you like. So with my map here, move it around, zoom in, everything you'd expect, guys, and of course a full screen option. Now, what it'll do, if I zoom in here, you'll see I've got my 3 jobs in and around London, and when I hover, I get that nice, beautiful little pop-up text. And then I've got a couple of jobs in Birmingham, and one in Liverpool here. Now what it's done is it's set what it believes is the best route for those particular engineers to do those particular jobs. So if we look in London, you'll see that's what it's explaining is the best route for our engineer. So if I just escape out of that screen there, on the left hand side, what you can also see is a few little performance metrics that we like to put in. And it's showing you that the travel time for just these particular jobs is around about 9 hours. And that's my bad planning with where my engineers live. I've got 371 miles of travel, 4 hours, 18 minutes of traveling, and I've got 181 and a bit miles there Now what you've got with the route plan in the middle of the screen here, guys, is a couple more options. You can have an engineer timeline. So this will break it down into engineers rather than a visual of the map. And again, you can jump into each engineer, look at their jobs, look at the timeline, and just understand a bit more about what's going on with travel and the job time and those buffers that we set earlier. You've then got the job timeline, which of course these engineers have got one job there, and you'll just see them stacked next to each other based on what the scheduler has found. Okay, but obviously the one that everybody likes is the map, is seeing all those beautiful little jobs on there, full screening it, putting on a big screen in your office, whatever it is you want to do. But what you can see is how quickly and how efficiently it's actually calculated and scheduled those jobs for me. Again, guys, as soon as you're ready, simply hit the sync with Joblogic, confirm your route planning will be synchronized with your job desk, and hit proceed. That will bring it over to your job desk with the updated routes. Now, to give you an example, because I always like giving real world examples in these webinars, one of our HVAC customers rebuilt their entire week's schedule after several emergency jobs landed at once. Now, before Dynamic Scheduler, that was 2 planners, half a day of reshuffling, updating systems, people, 60 miles of wasted travel, they told us. But once they implemented the Dynamic Scheduler, automatic reallocation in under 10 minutes, with all engineers finishing within their contracted hours. That's the kind of quiet win that compounds every week. So guys, what do you actually get out of using Dynamic Scheduler day to day? Fewer SLA breaches and happier clients. A 15 to 25% reduction in unnecessary mileage. Balanced engineer workloads. Now, how important is that? Less manual rescheduling. You've heard me talk before about unnecessary admin. That's it. So scheduling's an admin job. It's one of those tools that pays you back in time, not just efficiency gains. Listen, if you haven't already, head to our marketplace, Dynamic Scheduler, to start your free trial. I usually do these webinars and saying I'm not trying to sell you something. I am now, because I cannot see a scenario where this isn't beneficial for everyone. And as always, guys, if you want help setting it up or tailoring it to your workflows, our customer success team and our learning hubs are ready to support you. Thanks for joining me again, guys. And here's to smarter routes, smoother days, and of course, happier engineers. Thanks, guys.